This excerpt was taken from the Full and Bloom interview with Badlands bassist Greg Chaisson. You can listen to the entire interview at fullandbloom.com. With the audition process, I know you meet Jake during the Ozzy auditions, but he actually calls you to come audition?
Yeah, him and I stayed in contact while he was in Ozzy, and he would call me from the road, and we'd have some time off in town. He'd come over, and my wife would cook dinner and just kind of hang out. We had a friendship going. And so when he left Ozzy, he'd always told me when I leave Ozzy, we'll do something. So I assumed when he left Ozzy, I was just going to be in whatever his band was going to be called. Well, then he wanted me to audition for it. And I was kind of caught off guard, and I thought, man, if I audition and I don't get the gig, I'm going to look like an idiot, because all my friends know that I know Jake, and that, I had said, yeah, someday Jake and I are going to be in his band. So I just didn't want to audition. So what I told him is audition everyone that you can, and if you don't find anyone, I'll come in and audition. And so we went through that process 2 or 3 times, and then finally at the end of it, I ended up getting the gig. Now, I kind of figured out, the reason that he did that is because everyone knew we were friends, and he didn't want me to get the gig just because he didn't want people saying I only got the gig because he and I were friends. And people said that anyway. But he wanted to be where I went in and proved that I was the guy for the job, whatever. So in the end, it worked out great, and I'm glad that I auditioned, and the experience was really interesting, and I wouldn't change it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so does he already kind of have a deal set in place, or,
Nope.
or what's that?
No, he did not.
Okay, so you guys formed the band, and I can't even remember. I was thinking the last Ozzy record he did was like 86 or something, and then he toured, and so there was like a year or 2 break in there. Is that correct?
I think that probably when he was out of Ozzy by maybe the spring of 87 or early summer, and then he didn't do anything till sometime in 88. So I want to say that he took almost a year off. I could be wrong. What happened was he just took some time, and he had some money, and he had his daughter Jade, so he was kind of just doing that. And anyone knows Jake, he doesn't make any snap decisions. I think he just sat there and pondered on what he wanted to do. And I was around him quite a bit then. And so, I would come over and we'd go to lunch, or I'd come over, he'd play me a riff that he was working on, for this unnamed mystery project that he was going to do. And I wasn't saying, hey, am I going to be in your band? I was just kind of playing it cool, waiting to see what was going to happen. And then he decided Ray Gillen called him, and Jake didn't return his call. So Ray Gillen's mother called Jake and said, hey, you need to have my son come out there. He's a great singer, and he really wants to play with you, and you need to make this happen. And so Jake, who was just kind of going at his own speed, said, well, if I got someone's mom pissed off at me, I guess I better bring him out. So we brought Ray and then Eric, and the 3 of them played together without a bass player. And Jake really liked it. And Jake and I were going out to see BC Rich. I was already with BC Rich, but they were trying to woo Jake over. So they sent a limo to Jake's house, and they drove us the 60 miles out to the middle of the high desert where BC Rich was at. And in the car on the way there, he played me the rehearsal tape that he'd made with Eric and Ray. And he said, you want to hear this singer? And I said, yeah, sure. Obviously, it was great because it was Ray, and Ray was just making up lyrics on the spot on just riffs that Jake was making up. But in the interim of listening to that, I said, Ray's really great, but you should think about keeping this drummer. He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm thinking of, I like him too, and that was Eric. So that's when, he had those 2 guys already in tow, and that's when he said, you want to audition? And I was like, yeah, no. Weird on my part. I mean, he auditioned like 40 different guys, and a lot of them were guys that were in bands and name guys. But I think, Jake and I had played together in Scotland, and Jake's way of playing, he just comes in and starts jamming on a riff. And he doesn't come in with a song. It's just a jam, and then you just jam around for 45 minutes on the same kind of riff where you're changing tempos and changing keys and changing directions. And Jake's very well versed. He can go from metal to blues to country to ragtime to folk to jazz and everything in between, river dance, all at the same time. And you got to have enough on the ball to be able to kind of figure out what he's doing and to make it interesting. And so a lot of Badlands songs are written that way, with him just coming in with a riff, and then Ray would like it or we would like it. And so You know, that whole first record's pretty much done that way. And, you know, it was a very interesting way of doing it.